Welcome to the showcase, baby. Oh, the showcase. Righteous mind. It's your time to shine. The showcase. Righteous mind. It's your time to shine. The showcase.
Welcome to another edition of the Showcase. We have our good sister, all the way from California, Sister Faheemah. Welcome to the show.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's always good to connect with family from all around the globe. So just let us know who is Faheemah? What are you all about?
Well, I am, first and foremost, I am a believer. I've been Muslim my entire life. I am a student of Imam Warfdeen Muhammad. I was raised in this community, and I'm raising my children in this community. I am a mother. I have two beautiful daughters from my previous marriage, and I do a lot of community organizing locally. I'm also in school finishing my undergrad degree in sociology with a concentration in urban studies.
Okay, so how does it feel being one of God's children that is practicing Islam in a town like California?
I think it can be trying sometimes, just because the city that I'm from is predominantly Christian, and it's very small, and there's not a lot of black people here in general, on top of the fact that there isn't a lot of Muslims, so it lacks diversity. And so as a child, that was more difficult, having to explain all the time, I'm Muslim, I don't eat pork, or I'm Muslim, I wear my scarf because of that. So it was harder as a child. As I've gotten older, it just doesn't bother me at all. I know what I'm about, I know who I am, and if people have questions and they're polite about it, I have no problem with having open dialogue and speaking with people in regards to it. So it doesn't really affect me as much as an adult.
Okay, now explain to us, not only as a Muslim woman, but just a woman of faith. Tell us your triumphs and your accomplishments, or your goals and your struggles as a believing woman.
Well, I think the thing that we have to remember is that the believers are always going to be tested. So throughout my life, I've been tested multiple times with my faith. In my first marriage, when that didn't work out, that was a test of faith. I had a child that died, and that was a test of faith. Just growing up, the growing pains, having struggles with hijab, having struggles with not having as many Muslim friends locally. These are all things that I was faced with growing up in a city where there weren't a plethora of Muslims. And so it caused me to really become more centered and focused in my Islam. And it also allowed me to branch out more and build friendships with people across the country, which many of them I still have to this day. That's how I know you. So I made a lot of friends and family across the country, and I built a really good support system. And so when I do get faced with things that are obstacles, I call on that support system, I call on Allah, and that seems to work for me.
Alhamdulillah. So I guess the knock on the head, or the surrounding question is, as a Muslim woman, as you travel abroad, meet new people, do you find that there's a big difference between a Christian woman who's also a child of God and believes in a sister that practices Islam and believes?
I think the primary difference is the dress code. I have quite a few Christian friends that are practicing Christians and they're believers in their faith. However, their dress code is much different than that of a Muslim woman. For one, they don't wear khimar. They have no dress restrictions. They kind of just wear whatever, whenever. So I think that's the primary difference is the way that we dress and the way that we present ourselves aesthetically. I think that when it comes down to loving your Lord and pleasing your Lord, I think there's a lot of similarities with Christianity and Islam that people choose not to acknowledge. But outside of that, I think the primary difference would probably be just the way that we appear. It's much different than with a Christian woman versus that of a Muslim woman.
Okay, and I think that's sometimes the barrier that not only the Muslim woman but the Muslim man also faces is that people don't realize there's so much similarities between the two, and that's why we are trying to create this worldly view and trying to collaborate and just bring the eyes open and awareness. So basically, how do you find yourself being, I guess, a single mother of two girls, and just trying to teach them proper morale in the world that we live in?
I think that that's a trial, and it's a struggle because I don't just teach my kids Islam. I teach my kids Islam. I teach them pride as women, and then I teach them pride as Black women. And I find a way to try to fuse all of that together. I do a lot of discussions with them about the way their hair looks, the way their nose looks, the shape of their mouths, their eyes, complexion, and we reverence these features. And we reverence the differences in our hair and our skin and our nose and our eyes. And these are things because my daughters, each of them have a very distinctive look and they both look separate from one another. And so I make sure that I reverence both of their features and all of their beauty. Another thing that I teach them about is modesty, respecting their bodies, who's allowed to see their bodies, who's allowed to touch their bodies. They're very aware of that. My daughter had an incident on the playground where a little boy touched her butt. And she told him, she said, "You're not allowed to touch my butt." My mom said that nobody's allowed to touch my body. And so these are things that I'm teaching them very young, how to respect themselves as young women, how to respect themselves as Muslimas, how to live in this world and exist in it, but not be of it, and to stay God conscious and on the, basically on the Salahudin Mustaqim. I'm trying my hardest to do that. And while also building their racial identity, I don't want to focus so much on just Islam and just being a woman. I want to build their racial identity too, because that's also important in this day and age. So I try to fuse all three of those things together, and I think I'm doing a pretty good job so far. Inshallah, it will only get better, and I'll only get better at it with time. I would hope so.
Excellent, wonderful. So as far as work is concerned, how do you find yourself? Because some people have that mentality that the woman stays home, the house mom, the soccer mom. Where do you find yourself? Out in the workforce, out in the field, raising children, and just doing things to the best of your ability. Where do you find yourself in? Where do you find yourself being as a representative to your daughters as they get older?
Well, I'm a working mother, as well as a student, as well as a full-time mom. Prior to, well, that's my current situation. I have been a stay-at-home mom while I was married. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it just depends on what the couple agrees upon, what the man agrees upon, and what the woman agrees upon as a couple, as a unit. And so whatever that familial unit agrees upon is, as long as it's right in the eyes of Allah, there's nothing wrong with that. when my children were younger, I opted to stay at home because I wanted them to be with me until they were old enough to let me know if something happened. Well, now that my children are older and I'm divorced, I don't have the luxury of being at home with them. I have to go out into the work world and, earn a wage. And so as a result of that, I'm a full-time mom, I'm a full-time student, I'm a full-time worker, and it's sometimes difficult navigating all three of those hats on top of the other hats that I wear. But I think the main thing that we have to stay focused on as women is preserving our families while being out in the workforce. Even though I work, I still do homework with my daughter. I still spend time with them in the evening. I still read them stories. We have bath time. We have family time. These are things that I'm making sure that I'm preserving. I don't want to just throw it to the wayside just because I work. And so I think that working moms, we have to put in a little bit more effort into having that home life. But I think it's necessary if you're going to build your family, which will then build your community.
Okay. Now, as we speak of community, please walk us down the line of your community. And what I mean by that is, I tell people all the time, the reason why I know so many people is because of youth conferences and things of that nature. So it's, how were you, as a child, introduced to Islam, and as you got older, started to branch out to meet different people? Because we're on two separate, coasts. So
Yeah.
someone says, "Well, how do you know them?" People ask me all the time, "How do I know Faheemah? Or how do I even meet my wife that used to live in California? How did that even happen?" So if you can walk us down your line. Let us know, like, what are some of the things that you did or that you seen that kind of like said, "This is what I want to do. This is how I want to go."
Okay. Well, it started when I was young. My parents used to take us to the national convention. They're now called the Mosque Cares National Conventions, but at a time they were called the American Muslim Society. And so we used to go to the national convention that was under the leadership of Imam Warfdi Muhammad, and that's how I met a lot of my friends. That's how I met you and your sister. And so I started that really young, and I made lots of Muslim friends across the country, and I was able to build friendships and relationships with these people, and a lot of them turned into family for me. And so then when I was a teenager, I joined the National Young Adult Association, which is abbreviated the NYAA, and we used to throw young adult conferences. And I was one of the representatives for California on the board with the National Young Adult Association, and I did that until the association ended. And a few years I was also on the planning team for the conferences, and that allowed me to branch out even more, because now not only am I just attending the conference, I'm helping to plan the conference. So I was able to meet even more people from different locales, which basically built my network, and I was able to have more resources, more friends, just different people across the country that I got to meet. And then that segued into adulthood, because through these relationships were fostered romantic relationships, different brothers that you might have met, that you might have been interested in, or might have been interested in you. There were one or two brothers that I met through the convention and through the Young Adult Association that I spoke with romantically for a time. And so that helped to foster a lot of romantic relationships with my friends. They met a lot of their husbands at the convention. I didn't meet my ex-husband at the convention, but many of my friends did meet their husbands at the young adult conferences or the conventions. So that kind of transitioned us into adulthood. So I think as children, it introduced us to Islam, and it let us know that there were people who were like us out there. And it allowed us to build bonds with people that we were able to foster as we transitioned into being a teenager. And that's probably the hardest time, because your body is changing, your mind is changing, your thoughts are changing, you're questioning things. And having Muslim friends was a really big help to me, because they were going through the same struggles that I was going through in high school. And so that helped us transition into the next stage, which was adulthood. And now we have our families, we have our children, our husbands, there have you. And so we kind of just transition throughout life together. And the National Convention and the Young Adult Association conventions were a big part of that. Like for me, the convention was the cornerstone of growing up. So it kind of just like guided us along the way, and it was there for us the whole time. And now we have our children, and inshallah we can take our children back to the conventions and they can build friendships, and that will last the test of time, like the ones that I have, that I made when I was younger and now that I have as an adult.
Okay. So now that we're here in adulthood, parenting, and doing things that we may not have seen ourselves. Well, I can't speak for you. I'm going to speak for myself. 20 years ago, we know I got some age on you, so we ain't, you still a baby. But
I'm 30.
but from here on out, being that the so-called youth conferences and young adult associations have come and gone, and how do you see, or what do you see or would like to see there for your children, or even for yourself as you tend to go forth? What kind of, do you still see the same unity as you've seen before, or would you like to see something else be created to draw a bigger community life?
I think that things have definitely changed since we were younger. I think that a lot of people grew up and fell out of the deen, fell off the deen, whatever way you want to say it. And also there's a big group of people who grew up and they just don't have the same interests that they had in it like they did when we were younger. And so they're not patronizing the events anymore. And that may not seem like a big deal, but what people don't realize is that these programs, they foster community life. And you cannot have an ummah without community life. And you can't have community life without family. So if you're growing up and you're not marrying Muslims, or you're not marrying at all, and then you're not raising Muslim children, there is no community life and there is nobody to patronize these events. And so I think what we need to have is a resurgence of people going back and patronizing our community events and doing for self like how we used to when we were coming up. Our parents made sure that we were at the convention, rain, hail, sleet, snow, all of us, me, you, your sister, all of the people from New York, like we were all at the convention always, and our parents made sure that we did that. We have to have that same zest and that same zeal for our children. We can't just throw it to the wayside because now we're older and we're busy. We have to put that same effort into making sure that our children have Islamic outlets that aren't just in their local community but abroad, because I think what happens is when all you have is Islam in your local community, the kids can sometimes take that for granted because it's always there. But when they go abroad and they get to travel and they get to see that there's thousands of other Muslim kids who are living just the same way they're living and being raised the same way they're being raised, but in different locations, it kind of helps them look at it on a macro level. I know it did for me. And so I think as now our generation as adults, we have to put the same effort into patronizing our communities and our events and our programs the same way that our parents did if we want to have anything for our children. Because if nobody's going to the convention and it's all pioneers and it's no young adults with their children, then that eventually will die out as well.
Right. So we're gonna wrap it up and close out. It's always a pleasure to have someone of your stature, and I'm gonna say that. A lot of people may say you shouldn't talk that way or whatever, but we've known each other for years. You and Dee Dee, I mean, across the board. And to see each other grow up and see each other striving to get into paradise and striving for our children to have the best there is, I think that like you said, come in and patronize the community. What are some last words or some standing words you think you can relay to a young sister or maybe even a young mother out there, to help them on the ups and downs and the little bumps in the roads that you mentioned earlier? A lot of times we get tested. So what advice can you give them to keep fighting the good fight?
I think I would say to a sister, build a network of sisters that you can count on, even if it's just one that you can call and talk to, someone that you can relate to, that you can that will help to assist you if you're having a hard time. I think that it's imperative that we build our bonds of sisterhood. There's so many sisters out here, and we all go to the masjid together, but don't really know one another. So there's no real sisterhood sometimes. And I think that sisterhood is important. I know that you mentioned Ndidi, like that's my best friend. That my relationship with her, she's my confidant. I'm her confidant. We go to each other for assistance and help and just anything, you know? And I think building bonds of sisterhood is important. So if there was ever a young sister who was struggling or who maybe had some doubt in herself or her iman was being tested, I would firstly tell her, of course, to go to Allah and seek Allah for guidance. But if you do have any sisters in your community that you can seek out to talk to or seek counsel from, I really recommend that. I really recommend building the bonds of sisterhood. I think that that can get you through a lot of hard times. Nobody wants to go through bad things alone.
Wonderful, wonderful. Once again, we thank you for your time. We thank you for your advice, and we thank you for your patience.
Okay, assalamu alaikum.
Thanks long.